Hey guys, welcome to my channel. We are reading A Dog's Journey by W. Bruce Cameron. We are on Chapter 8. And here we go. Chapter 8. Gloria jumped off onto the porch and I followed her, wagging my tail at both women. "That's not a fox," Gloria yelled. The woman bent down and petted me. She had warm, gentle hands that smelt of soap and also nuts of some kind. "A fox? Of course not. It's a puppy. What's it doing in my house?" The woman stood. "I can't answer that, Mama." "It's your house. The dog was here when I saw your... Oh, ma'am. Oh, my goodness. Ma'am. The dog was here when I saw your daughter last week. That's impossible." "Well, look," the woman said. "Here's another copy of the citation, along with a notice to appear." She handed Gloria some papers. "You'll need to come to court with your daughter, understand? Because she's a minor. You are legally liable." "What about the dog?" "Sorry." I sat at the word dog. Gloria seemed upset about something, but I thought the nice lady might be good for a treat. I like nuts of all kind, even the salty ones that burned my tongue. "Take the dog with you," Gloria said. "I can't do that, ma'am." "So you mean to tell me you're more concerned about the high school students skipping a few classes than a woman trapped by a dog?" Yes, that's right. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. What kind of police officer are you?" "I'm a truant officer, Miss Mahoney. I'm going to file a formal complaint with the police commissariat." "What? You do that. Meanwhile, I'll see you in court." The woman turned and walked away, so no treats. "What do I do about the dog?" Gloria yelled at her. Call animal control, ma'am. That's what they do." "All right, I will," Gloria said. I made to follow her back to the house, but cringed when she yelled, "No," at me. She slammed the door, shutting me out. I wandered out into the front yard. It was another nice day. Meanwhile, the rabbit would be outside looking for me. I trotted down the sidewalk, sniffing at the bushes. The front yard of the houses on the street reminded me of the home Ethan lived in before he moved to the farm. They were big enough to play in, and often were bordered with shrubs. The air was full of sweet smell of flowers, and all the growth was lush and full. I smelled dogs and cats and people but no ducks or goats. An occasional car cruised past, steering the air and adding its metallic and oily odors to the riot of scents. I felt a little like a bad dog wandering free without a leash, but Gloria had sent me loose, so I reasoned it must be okay. After an hour or so of sniffing and exploring, I heard footfalls coming towards me. A man called out, "Here, puppy." My initial inclination was to trot right over to him, but I stopped when I saw the pole in his hand, a loop dangling from the pole. He advanced on me, holding the loop out. "Come on, that's a good girl," he said to me. I could feel the loop of the rope around my neck as if it were already there. I danced back. "Now don't run away," he said softly. I ducked my head and made to run past him, but he lunged, and then I was twisting on the other end of the pole. "Gotcha," he said. I was afraid this was not right. I didn't want to go with the man who pulled me with his pole over to the truck. The line around my neck tightened, forced me to head towards the truck tire, and then he scooped me up with a clang. I was in a metal gate in the back of the truck. "Hey!" The man turned at the sound of approaching footsteps. "Hey!" It was Clarity. "What are you doing? That's my dog." The man held his hand out to Clarity, who stood before him, pouting. I put my paws on the cage, wagging delighted to see her. "Now wait, just wait," the man said. "You can't take my dog," Clarity said angrily. The man crossed his arms. I am taking the dog. We've had complaints, and it was running loose. I yepped, so she knew I was right there, waiting to be let out. Complaints? Molly is just a puppy. Who complained about the puppy? Clarity said. What was she making people too happy? That's not your business. It is your dog. You can pick it up at the shelter any time after noon tomorrow. The man made a move away. But wait. The tears were flowing down Clarity's face now. I whimpered, wanting to kiss her sadness away. She put a hand on her mouth. She won't understand if you take her. She's a rescue dog who has already been abandoned once. Please, I don't know how she got out, but I promise you it won't happen again. I promise. The man's shoulders slumped. He took in a deep breath and then let it out slowly. Well, all right. Look, okay. But you need to get her chipped and vaccinated, and in a few months spay her, deal? And then get a license. It's the law. I will, I promise. The game of truck was over. The man opened the cage, and Clarity reached in and pulled me out. She hugged me and I kissed her face and looked at the man to see if he wanted to kiss too. All right, the man said. Thank you, Clarity said. The truck drove off. Clarity stood and watched it go, still holding me. Complaints, she muttered. As she carried me to her house, I could feel her heart beating loudly in her chest. We went through the front door and she stopped, setting me down. A piece of paper was right in front on my nose of the floor, and I sniffed it, smelling the woman who had been on the porch a little while ago. Clarity picked up the paper and looked at it. Clarity, is that you? Gloria came around the corner and stopped, staring at me. I wagged and I started to go to her to say hello, but Clarity reached down and picked me up. What are you doing? Gloria demanded. This is Molly. She's my dog. Clarity handed her, trembling. No, she is not, Gloria said. Not which part? Not Molly? Or not a dog? Clarity asked. Out, Gloria yelled. No, Clarity shouted back. You cannot have a dog in my house. I'm keeping her. You can't say anything to me right now. Do you know what trouble you're in? I had a visit with the delinquency officer. You've been missing so much school that they came out here to arrest you. Clarity set me down. No, do not put that animal on my carpet. With all the shouting, I shied away from Gloria. It's a dog. She won't do anything. She's just peed outside. A dog? Are you sure it's not a fox? Why? Do you need another coat? I wandered over to the couch, but there was nothing underneath it but dusty smells. In fact, most of the odors in the house were coming from Gloria. Going to lift its legs on the couch. I'm calling someone, Gloria shrieked. Did you even bother to read this? Clarity said. She rattled the paper in her hand and I watched alertly, wondering if she was going to throw it. This is a summon for you, you know. You have to appear in court too. Well, I'm going to tell them you are completely out of control. And I'm going to tell them why. Why what? Why I was able to skip so much school. You go on trips all the time and leave me without any adults in the house, including when I was 12 years old by myself. I don't believe this. You asked to be left alone. You hated a babysitter. I hated her because she was drunk. One time she fell asleep in her car in the driveway. We're not having this conversation again. If you're going to imply that I was in any way a neglect mother, then I'll just call social services, and you can live in an orphanage. I turned in circles a few times and lay down on the soft rug. The shouting made me anxious, though, and within seconds I was back on my feet. Sure, if that's okay, it works. You just leave me in a box on the front porch and they come by on Tuesdays to pick it up to take me to the orphan. You know what I mean? Yes, you're going to call social services and tell them you don't want to be a mom anymore. So then there will be a hearing and the judge is going to want to know where you were all last week. Aspen. and where you were when you went to Vegas when I was 13, and where you were when you went to New York for a month. And you know what he's going to say? He's going to say that you need to go to jail, and everyone in the neighborhood will know. They will see you getting into a patrol car in handcuffs with your fur coat over your head. My mother left me alone when I was a lot younger than you. I never complained. The same mother who beat you with a garden tools, who broke your arm when you were 8 years old. I don't think you would. My point was I was fine. You were fine. Well, my point was they arrest your mother and they'll arrest you too, Gloria. The laws are a lot more strict now. You don't have to actually send your kid to an emergency room to wind up in jail. Gloria was staring at Clarity, who was breathing hard. Unless Clarity said in the low voice, "You'll need to keep Molly." "I don't know what you mean. I'll tell the judge that that I lied to you, that I told you I was going to school, but I actually was skipping. I'll say it wasn't your fault. It wasn't my fault. Or I can tell him about you leaving me all the time on your little trips with your boyfriends. That's the deal. I keep Molly, and I'll lie to the judge if you try to make me get rid of her. I'll tell him everything. You're as horrible as your father." "Oh, darn, Gloria. That one doesn't even upset me anymore. You used it on me too often, so what do you want to do?" Gloria left the room. Clarity went over to me and petted me. I curled up on the rug. I fell asleep. When I woke up, Gloria was no longer in the house. Clarity was in the kitchen, and I arose with a yawn and went in to see what she was doing. A delicious odor was in the air. "Want some, Molly?" Clarity asked me. She sounded sad, but she fed me toast. No honey butter for you, though," she said. "That's people-only food." She stood up from the table and opened the bag. Soon the air carried with it a dazzling smell of more toast. She dropped the toy on the floor, and I chased it, my nails scraping on the floor, smooth floor. "You want the lid? Okay, you can have the lid," she told me. I licked the toy, which had an amazing sweet scent to it, but there was nothing to eat on it. I chewed it. Clarity got up from the table and made more toast, and then more, while I happily chewed on the toy. Then she stood up. "Out of bread," she said, throwing the plastic sack into the trash can. I wagged, thinking she would come over to play with the toy, but instead she went to the counter, and I heard her open a plastic bag, and then she made more toast. She kicked the toy, and it slid across the floor, and I jumped on it. Every time she got up and make more toast, she would kick the toy, and I would chase it. I found that if I put my front paws on it, I could slide on it until it hit the wall. What a great game. All gone. "Come on, Molly," Clarity said. I followed her into her bedroom. "You want to sleep on this pillow, Molly?" Clarity patted a pillow, and I jumped on it and shook it with my teeth. Clarity didn't want to play, though. She lay on her back with her eyes open. I put my head on her chest, and she ran her fingers through my fur. But there was a change overcoming her, a darken of the mood. I cuddled with her, hoping I could lift her out of her sadness. But when she moaned, I knew I was failing. I went to lick her face, smelling butter and toast and the same sweet sugary tang that had coated the toy. But she rolled away from me. "Oh, God," she said softly. Clarity went into her bathroom, and I heard her making a choking noise, and I smelled the sweet toast. She was vomiting again. Her head was in the water bowl, which she refreshed a few times before standing up and looked at her teeth in the mirror. Then she stood on a small box. 106.5, she moaned. "I hate myself." I decided I despised that box for how it made her feel. "Let's go to bed, Molly." Clarity didn't take me down to the basement. She let me sleep on her bed. I was so excited to be out of that space. the space and back in the bed with her that I, of course, had trouble sleeping. But she put her hand on me and petted me until I got drowsy. I turned over and curled up against her, and as I drifted off, her love flowed into me, and my love flowed into her. This was more than just watching over someone out of loyalty. I loved Clarity. I loved her as completely and totally as any dog could love a person. Ethan had been my boy, but Clarity was my girl. I woke up later because I heard Gloria and a man talking outside the house. The man laughed, and then I heard the car start and drive away. On the front door of the house opened and closed. Clarity was still asleep. I heard someone coming down the hall. My time under the stairs, listening to the footsteps, told me it was Gloria. The door in the hallway was open, and Gloria stopped in it, staring in at me on the bed. She complex scented drifted into the room. I wagged a little. That's all she did. She stared at me from the darkened hallway. And that was the end of chapter 8, guys. I will see you guys in chapter 9 in the next video. Thank you guys for listening. Have a good day. And a Merry Christmas.